Let's get us through some of the charts that he's looking at right now. Peter McGuire from XM joins me live via Skype. Pete, great to have your company there. Let's get straight into things because, we want to talk about some of the trade opportunities that might exist, especially in the currency space. The pound right now, you wrote up extensively some of the factors driving it right at this moment. What are you seeing on the charts?
Well, for the first part, Kyle, I think we've seen a nice little uptrend, and then all of a sudden, you're maybe a little bit of a reversal. But look, the storyline quite simply is you've seen that US dollar come under enormous pressure since the end of October, start of November, and it's giving up a little bit of that hot steam. It's going back up to around about that 103.30, and you've got the pound sitting there, the best part of the 121, 120 sort of handle. But we've got big numbers dropping, which are probably the concern as far as inflation read. And do we see a pullback from 10.5 in December to 10.2 as analysts are forecasting, or do we see a reversal? So we'll get that news soon enough. It's ready to drop, and we'll get all the information probably in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, it's a big 12 hours for that pair. Of course, we've got the labour figures there as well as that US CPI figure, which is going to be fascinating. Hugely influential for broader markets. Let's move on to the USD JPY now, the US dollar Japanese yen. Another really interesting one because obviously people use this as a bit of a play on spreads, I suppose, yield differentials. At the moment, though, there's also speculation about the next BOJ governor driving price action. How are you seeing things shaping up?
Well, first off, as far as the BOJ governor, Mr. Ueda, or Dr. Ueda, who was MIT PhD, also spent considerable time, and I like Larry Summers' point. He's Japan's Ben Bernanke. That's what he's been dubbed. So that gives us an indication, the style and the rhetoric, and possibly where he moves from here. He's a long-standing member of the BOJ, and we've seen dramatic move over the last 12, 13 months. That 114 to the dollar, up to 150, back to 125, 128. And we're currently sitting in that 130, 132 sort of channel. I won't be surprised if he gets announced. I think you'll see some move to the upside as far as rates, and in turn that could see a stronger yen over the lead up to probably Easter or a little bit further out.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one. It's funny. It's a big world out there, but a lot of central bankers seem to all come from the same place. Our own Governor Lowe, an MIT graduate too. Perhaps one in, one out. We don't know when it comes to Governor Lowe. Of course, his tenure coming close to its end, maybe not extended.
Absolutely.
It should be fascinating. But let's get to the next currency pair that we want to look at now too. Euro USD, one that I've actually taken my eye off just a little bit. Perhaps sometimes because I get a little bit complacent, just look at the dollar index because obviously it's such a big constituent of the US dollar index. However, obviously being driven by its own dynamics at the moment, not least to say the weather over there in Europe, I suppose. But what are we looking at the charts right now when it comes to the all-important Euro USD?
Well, you're sitting there. I mean, again, it's had dramatic move to the upside since November. We all understand it's crunched down when it was, that best part of 0.97, maybe even into the 96 handles, if my memory serves me correctly. You've seen a big push up, nearly as high as 109, 110 or 1.09. It's given up a little bit of that steam round about that 1.07 sort of number. Now, we've got to be conscious, yes, Eurozone's performed extremely well from an energy standpoint because you've had warmer weather over winter, and it's also had cheaper energy prices. But energy has taken a bit of a tick to the upside in the last 3 to 4 sessions, and we've got numbers coming out of Eurozone, what they're doing as far as rate CPI and the cost of inflation. So I just want to see what happens over the next really month and get a good indication leading up until the end of March where this is going to trend. Are we going to see a continued push to the upside for the euro? What happens as far as US CPI? There are so many moving parts, Kyle. It really is quite dramatic at the moment, and it's never one to disappoint as far as that cross rate for a trader's perspective.
Absolutely, and I suppose they say wherever the US dollar goes, or if you do have to have a trading thesis, you've got to make your mind first up about the US dollar, and no more important pair than the Euro USD. So, second order effects there. But let's get to another one that's obviously very driven by the US dollar's strength or weakness. of course, as well as interest rate expectations. That's gold. Come off the highs of the last couple of weeks, potentially testing the bottom of a trend channel and a key moving average here. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, that US dollar's had a nice little move, and that, I think, took a little bit of the wind out of the sails of gold. It had a dramatic push up and nothing short of spectacular over at that window of, you can see in the chart there, it was, 1620, 1640 sort of boom to the upside, hit a 1950, 1980, and then it's given up some of that hot air back to around about 1860, 1880, consolidation. And you can see the sell-off. It was really dramatic, and I believe that was when they announced those non-farm payrolls that shot out expectation at 518,000 on Friday week ago, and all the analysts had tipped about 185,000. So it really just shocked the market, and that was gold being sold off, and that just demonstrates the fragility of that market. But more importantly, it's very hotly contested across our customer base internationally. Big support in India and China, and of course the UAE and everywhere in the Middle East. So it's got a big attraction, gold, and I'm still believing that its best days are ahead of it, not behind it.
Yeah, and in the short term, another one to be particularly sensitive to the CPI data out of the States tonight. Going to be really exciting. Hey, Peter, I did say it would be short and sweet today. It was certainly short, certainly sweet as well. Looking forward to our next conversation. Pete McGuire from XM there.
Thank you very much, Kyle.